Now let's meet the candidates. Herman Cain, former chairman and CEO of Godfather's Pizza and radio talk show host. Mr. Cain, about Afghanistan, you recently said this, quote, if the experts, the generals, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, if they believe we can win, I'm not going to tear up the plan they give me. I'm going to execute the plan. If we can't win, I want to know what we can do to exit with dignity out of that country. You're running for president after almost 10 years in Afghanistan. You don't have your own plan yet about what you would do in Afghanistan?
No, because it's not clear what the mission is. That's the bigger problem. It's not clear what the mission is. It's not real clear to the American people what our interests are. And then thirdly, it's not clear what the roadmap to victory is. And what does that mean? This is why I would revisit the issue in defining those three critical questions, answering those questions before I, as president, made a decision. Because before I make a decision to send men and women in uniform into battle, I want to make sure we know what the objective is clearly, that we clearly know how it serves our interests either at home or abroad, and thirdly, what is our roadmap to victory?
But, sir, how would you define winning in Afghanistan right now as you're looking at it as a candidate?
My point is the experts and their advice and their input would be the basis for me making that decision. I'm not privy to a lot of confidential information since I'm not in government and I'm not in administration. One of the things that I've always prided myself on is making an informed decision based upon knowing all of the facts. And at this point, I don't know all of the facts, but that's the process that I would use. Make sure that we're working on the right problem. Make sure that we set the right priorities relative to Afghanistan and every other country. Thirdly, make sure we get the advice from the right people, and then put those plans into place.
Okay. Well, that was quick. You stopped quick. You got the bell back.
Good breaks.
But I want to get you all on the record quickly. If you could raise your hand, if as president, you would put out a photo of a dead Osama bin Laden. Just to be sure, Mr. Cain, you would not.
I would not.
Senator,
raise your hand if you would support a resumption of waterboarding under any circumstances.
Under certain circumstances or any
yes,
circumstances?
Under certain circumstances.
Certain or any?
Under any circumstances that you could imagine, not all.
Sure, I'll do it.
So just to be clear, the three of you under individual case-by-case basis would support waterboarding. Congressman Paul, you would not.
No, I would not.
And Governor Johnson, you would not.
Anything.
I would not.
okay.
Well, it's just simply not true, Ron. I mean, the fact is that
right.
what we found is that some of this information that we found out that led to Osama bin Laden actually came from these enhanced interrogation techniques. And by the way, we wouldn't have been able to launch a raid into Pakistan to get Osama bin Laden if we weren't in Afghanistan.
May I say what prompted me to raise my hand on this issue very briefly? I heard Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say it very clearly a few months after 9/11/2001, after the tragedy. The terrorists have one objective: to kill all of us. And so, yes, I believe that we should do whatever means possible in order to protect the people of this nation. That's their ultimate goal.
Mr. Cain, we'll stay on the topic of DOMA. You have said the administration's decision not to defend it is, quote, a breach of presidential duty bordering on treason. That's some pretty tough language. Isn't this country just moving toward accepting gay marriage?
The Defense of Marriage Act is one of the laws of the land, signed in 1996 by President Bill Clinton. But for the president to give direction to the Justice Department when in his oath of office he says he is supposed to protect and uphold the laws of the United States of America, to me, that is asking the Justice Department to not uphold a law.
Thanks, sir.
Education, Juan.
I'm glad you put it that way, Brett, because I think we want to get this debate back to what's the #1 issue for voters in this country, and that's jobs. And I want to do it this time with an emphasis on union jobs. So, Herman Cain, here in South Carolina, as you heard before, the GOP is up in arms over a decision by the General Counsel of the National Labor Relations Board challenging the Boeing company for moving jobs to a right-to-work state. In Wisconsin, Governor Walker has ended collective bargaining rights for some civil service workers. Mr. Cain, does the GOP risk the perception that it's becoming the union-busting party?
I don't think so, because what the National Labor Relations Board did by citing Boeing about coming to South Carolina is simply outrageous. We have a free market system, and for the government to start picking winners and losers and then trying to decide where those winners should put their business, it's outrageous, and it would upset the balance of how our free market system is supposed to work. One of the biggest problems we have with this country right now today is too much government intervention in trying to tell businesses how to do what they do best, which is create jobs. Government doesn't create jobs. Businesses create jobs. We need to get government out of the way, including trying to tell a company where they should build a new plant.
Mr. Cain, you've never held office, but you did run for office once. Back in 2004, you lost the Republican Senate primary in Georgia. You got just 26% of the vote. In that campaign, you said your opponent was pro-choice because he would have allowed abortions, pro-choice because he would have allowed abortions in the case of rape and incest. You have an impressive personal history, sir, but why do you have any belief that you stand a chance to win this nomination, let alone the presidency?
A couple of reasons. First of all, the people of the United States are going to elect the person that I believe projects the greatest amount of leadership strength, not the person that has the greatest amount of money, not the person that necessarily has held public office before. And I'm proud of the fact, quite frankly, that I haven't held public office before, because I asked people, most of the people that are in elective office in Washington, D.C., they have held public office before. How's that working for you? We have a mess. How about sending a problem solver to the White House? How about someone who has a career of defining the right problem, assigning the right priority, surrounding yourself with the right people? If you look at this current administration, it is the worst in current history. And fourth, putting together the plans and then being able to engage the American public in these common sense solutions.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Cain. Mr. Cain.
President Obama is not unbeatable because one right decision doth not a great president make. He will be, if you look at the economy, he has no policies that are going to turn this economy around. Gasoline prices are going to continue to go up because his administration has done absolutely nothing to help bring down the cost of oil by utilizing our energy resources. So I believe that he is vulnerable in many ways, not to mention all of the broken promises since he's been president of the United States.
A lightning round about those candidates. Each of you will have 30 seconds to answer the questions. I will start. Mr. Cain, you supported Governor Romney in 2008. What did you see in him back then that led you to support his campaign?
Back then, I saw his business experience, which I concluded that meant that he understood how to create jobs. And like then and now, the creation of jobs is one of the most critical issues that we have in this country. That's why I supported him. I'm running now rather than supporting Mr. Romney because he did not win. So I'm going to try my time.
Thank you, Mr. Cain. Chris. Mr. Cain, your closing remarks, sir.
Fellow patriots in this exceptional nation, the United States of America, we need real economic growth, a real energy independence plan, real national security clarity, and we're only going to get it with real leadership, not more positionship. God bless you. And yes, God is blessing America.